Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, welcome into another duly noted podcast presented, as always, by the great folks at Titan MRI, my good friend Joe Calorio. How about this doubleheader? He calls me or texts me on Friday to let me know that he is taking care of breakfast and shout out to PDQ, who is supplying the breakfast, but he was been a big part of making that happen. And so thumbs up to PDQ for the Bob Dooley Invitational. And then and then later that day gave us 4 tickets for the baseball game Sunday. So we did that. So thank you to Joe Calorio. He's one of the great people in this community. And of course, we're coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios of Meldon Law. We love them as well. Big sponsors of the tournament, big sponsors of a lot of things. They're everywhere. We appreciate them. Let's get to, we want to get to our starting lineup, but what a week it was for me. I mean, I just felt like I was doing stuff all the time. Started out Tuesday with the quarterback club, which was unbelievable. Billy Napier's speech was amazing. His talk was amazing. I really loved it. Then on Thursday, of course, spring game. We'll talk to Robbie Andreu about that in a little bit, and Coach Spurrier as well. And then on Saturday, went to the Stop Children's Cancer Gala, which was interesting. It was obviously for a great cause, and we loved it, and we loved being there. I had to dress up. I had to go buy new pants because I lost some weight, so I had to buy new pants. And then Sunday, we went to the baseball game, and it was a blast. I loved it. I'll get to that in a minute. So really crazy weekend. Let's get to our starting lineup today because we're still trying to sell the starting lineup segment. So we are using all of our other sponsors. It's the Hesser and Kipke starting lineup. Let's start off with number 1 on the Hesser and Kipke starting lineup. The game yesterday was the weirdest. I think I've seen everything. Like I saw a walk-off strikeout. I've never seen that before, where a guy got struck out and the catcher threw the ball away, and that was against Georgia too. But yet the game on Sunday when Caglione hits the grand slam, and then I don't know if you saw this. I should have made this the play of the game because he is as he comes off the field, he walks with his arms down. Yeah, he's like walking with his arms down. And I'm going, is he doing that Molly Shannon character in Seinfeld, who couldn't move her arms, or is he doing Raquel Welch, who wouldn't move her arms? And well, I know. I think it was like, I'm not celebrating. Look at me. I'm not celebrating. I used to hit a grand slam to clinch this game, but I'm not celebrating. And that was just, it was a weird day, weird day, and a weird series. First game, Florida's up 10-4. Let's go for the sweep. Don't get ahead of yourselves. Next thing you know, Brandon Neely comes in and poops a bed, and they hit him, and they end up winning 13-11. Next game's 2-1. You know, it's just weird. In the first game, there were 3 grand slams, 2 by Florida, and Florida lost. And then you had another guy who didn't hit a grand slam who had 3 homers. It was a wild game, that Friday night game, and certainly disappointing. But in the end, Florida's got 30 wins already, and they are 30-7 right now. And everything they want to do is ahead of them. It's right there, okay? It's not like they're in trouble because they lose a game in the last game here, the first game here. It's not. They're 2 games out of first place, second place in the SEC. So they're doing a heck of a job. And the Caglione story is just unbelievable. 21 homers now, 2 in this game, 7 RBI, and he got the win. That to me was the biggest part of it. He got his control under control, and he pitched really well in this game, and the bullpen got it done. It was kind of iffy there for a while, but they got it done. So that brings me to number 2, which is the ejection of Brandon Neely from the game. Now, this is the bottom of the 8th inning. He comes in. He It's a tight. I think the bases were loaded. I think it was a 3-2 count. It might have been. Whatever it was, strikes out the guy on high heat, and it was just blew it by him. And as he comes off the field, he's barking at the Georgia dugout. And I don't know what he said. I'm guessing there was a word that rhymes with tuck somewhere in there. But, I mean, it was a little much, and the umpire ejects him. Never seen that before, where your closer gets ejected. But it was weird. But I will say this, and I think for this team, they are being almost Tennessee last year, and I don't want to see that. Hey, if you strike a guy out, you go to your dugout and you get in your face of your teammates and your coach. You go, that's fine. But just always to be, I mean, it seems like this team, and this is the way college baseball seems to be, and especially in this league. Let me tell you what, baseball in the SEC is not like it is anywhere else. It is intense. And if you were at any of those games, so intense. But, and I think, look, would I have ejected him for that? Probably not. Should he have been ejected? They'd already gotten a warning for that. I get why he was ejected. But it wasn't just that. The umpire behind home plate, I kept telling my wife, he's a softball umpire. Because he would call the strike and then go like this, which is what softball guys do, and it drives me nuts because you don't know if it's a strike if you're not the batter or the catcher. But he was that kind of guy, so maybe he came over from softball after they were done with the game, and he was one of those guys that lined up on the left side of the plate, so he doesn't see the right side of the plate. This is a big thing with me and Jeff Cardozo. I just don't understand how you can't just need taller umpires so you can see the whole plate, I guess. But weird game. Bottom line is Florida's second in the SEC, 30-7 now. Big weekend against South Carolina this weekend going up there. And then 2 behind Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt comes in here the week of the Bob Dooley. So that'll be it. I'm not going to be able to watch the games, but I'll pay attention. Number 3 on the Hesser and Kipke starting lineup. Softball, on the other hand, had this wild weekend as well across the street, which was not fun for parking on Sunday, I can tell you that much. But we found a place to park. They're struggling on the pitching. They're just not getting it done on the pitching, but they still win 2 out of 3. So you're happy. But whenever you win the first 2, you always want to win the third. You know, it's like winning 2 out of 3 is great unless you win the first 2. At the same time, you know, what Skylar Wallace is doing is unbelievable, and we'll get to her in a minute. 465 right now with 13 homers. Okay, 13 homers. I couldn't see it right there for a second. My brain gets wiped out. All right, let me get to number 4 on Hesser and Kipke's starting lineup, and that's gymnastics, which could easily have been my lead. I watched it with my wife, and we were. I was brought to tears. I really was watching Trinity Thomas get a 10 on the vault. What a team player! If they could bottle what Trinity Thomas has and just sprinkle it over all the Gator athletes in all the sports. Why do you care so much about your teammates? Why do you want to be great? Why do you want to do all this? You know, why are you going out there when you don't have to go out there? Why are you going out there with an injury and you're doing 2 events and you're scoring these incredible numbers? I mean, Florida fell short. Trinity Thomas, in her 4 years, never won a national championship, or 5 years. Never won a national championship. 1 year was COVID. 2 years she was hurt. Wasn't her fault. Her teammates were right there with her too. They did a great job. I love that team, and Oklahoma did what they needed to do. They were efficient, and that's what they do. Maybe not as spectacular, but they don't screw up, and that's what Florida did. They had a step out of bounds. They had a fall. I mean, but the gymnastics season was a emotional roller coaster for me. Maybe not for you. Maybe you don't care. Maybe you're a Cro-Magnon and you go, it's not football. I only care about football. Well, not me. I care about all sports at Florida. And that was pretty emotional. I will say that. And finally on the Hesser and Kipke 3 things, all weekend as we were going to different things, whether it was the Stop Children's Cancer Gala or the baseball game or everything, we kept seeing all these buses. And I didn't know what was going on. Buses with logos of schools. And it was the Tom Jones Memorial track meet at Florida. And Tom Jones was a tremendous person. I love that guy. I miss him. He was a great guy. We had a great relationship. And, of course, it's great that they have this track meet for him. So you had that going on. So there are people everywhere. You had baseball going on. You had softball going on. You had lacrosse going on, which won again on Saturday. What else? I mean, what else was going on? It's just, this is why I love being in this community, because there's so much happening. So much going on. You drive down the street or drive on campus, there's going to be something happening, always. And that is the cool thing about living in a college town. But congratulations to everybody this weekend. You guys all played hard. That's one thing. We've kind of become jaded a little bit in how hard teams play, because when teams don't play good, you know what we say? They quit. They didn't play hard. And there have been some teams that have quit around here, and we saw one of them 2 years ago, definitely, that quit. But that's one reason I like all sports. I root for the Laundry, yeah. But I like all sports because most sports play hard. Most sports aren't on full scholarship. Most sports just say, we're going to do what we need to do. All right. That's going to do it for our Hesser and Kipke starting lineup today. We'll take a break. We'll come back. The HBC is back, and we love having him. We'll talk to him about a million things, and always love talking to him. We will take a break, though, and we'll be back with more of another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Dooley Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it. Another Duly Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Fight Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you access to elite speakers like coaches, NCAA football insiders, Gator greats, and more, including yours truly. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-season meetings, home game tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Trial membership until April 11th only, featuring Billy Napier and Tommy Townsend. Email the club at membership@quarterbackclub.org. That's membership@quarterbackclub.org, or call me, and I'll let you get to the right people.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life. And the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Okay, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And of course, Meldon Law, the sponsor of the segments with Coach Spurrier. We missed him last week. Yep. He had a lot of stuff to do and was being honored and everything. You had a lot of stuff going on last week, didn't you?
Well, actually, last week I had to drive my grandkids from the Jacksonville airport to Crescent and back to the airport. But anyway, that was Monday. But other than that, this past week I went up to the Washington Touchdown Club. They gave me the award back in '66 as the back of the year in the nation.
Right.
They gave me another award, said contributions to football. So whatever that was I got up, said thanks, and I said, football's been a lot better to me than I've ever been to football. But I appreciate it.
I don't agree with that, by the way.
And reminisced a little bit about everything. But anyway, it was a nice trip up there, and it was at Congressional Country Club, where they've held U.S. Opens and one of the best golf courses in America. So we stayed there. They got rooms there, and the dining hall was where they had the event and so forth. So it was a nice function, and Jerry and I went up and back the next day. So,
you didn't get to play out there, have you?
No, but it was, I tell you what, it was an 80-degree day up there.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful day. And, they take caddies up there. I didn't see a golf cart the whole time.
Really?
So I might have been on the sideline. I'm a golf cart guy now. My lower back doesn't, not much on walking. So
Me too.
I tell people Tiger Woods and I have something in common. We're not very good walkers on the golf course. So anyway.
No, but obviously there's a lot of stuff went on last week, including the spring game. And, it was not... You were spared from it, let me put it that way.
Yeah, I read about the spring game, and obviously, I guess we can brag about the defense a little bit. Austin Armstrong, that's his name, is the D coordinator, so we know he's in charge of the defense, and from what I understand, they look like they knew what they're doing. So we can get fired up about that. I tell you what, I didn't know who the defensive coordinator was until about mid-season last year, because I never read his name. And there was an interesting article in USA Today about Anthony Richardson. Everybody, the first thing the guy writes is something just doesn't add up. This guy's 6'4", 244, and runs 4.3, and everybody knows that he can dazzle you running the ball, and he throws brilliant long passes, and then every now and then he sails one over somebody's head, and it turns into a bad play. So then he went on to say that maybe he doesn't have the offensive guys around him, or the coaching's not very good, or his release and touch needs somebody to work with, all this, that, and the other. But he is the question there. I read somewhere where he might be in the top 5 picks.
Yeah.
You hear that? And then another guy the other day had him like 17 or 18.
I don't think that'll
So
happen.
April 27, we're going to find out. We're going to find out. And let me ask you this. Who was the quarterback coach last year?
Well, Napier, pretty much.
The head coach has to.
Yeah.
Well, the head coach.
He's got a guy that I don't even remember who it is.
Yeah.
But Napier's in charge of him.
Well-
Napier's the guy who sits in the meeting room with him.
Okay, yeah, I think Billy Napier does call the plays, and he coaches them in the meeting room. I'm not sure who runs around with them all day, but quarterback coaches, usually all the assistant coaches, they run around with their guys during practice the whole day.
But
And,
you were the quarterback coach, right?
and I ran around with them about all day, and I said, "You special team coaches, y'all got it. We're working on goal line passes or something." But yeah, all day long. I mean, just teaching fundamentals and head position, ball position, and all this, that, and the other. But anyway, I think there's somebody over there, but I don't know his name. I don't know who the quarterback's coach's name
not
is.
sure either.
He could be one of those analysts or one of those GAs or something. I'm not sure. I just don't
Well, they
know.
got 2 offensive line coaches. So I don't know if they have room a quarterback coach. But the thing is, though, all the things that guy said are all true. He's unbelievably talented. Did he have great players around him? No. Would it have been nice if he had a defense where he didn't have to score 35 to 40 points a game? Yes. Is he a raw guy? I mean, don't forget, he still only had 13 career starts. Yes. So it's a matter of the risk reward that you're going to take as a NFL franchise, right? Are you going to risk your franchise on this guy? Or are you going to, and if the reward could be enormous. You just don't know.
Yeah, we all know that Anthony's a very talented player, no question about it. I remember one day I was walking through the football office, and Dan Mullen, I started talking to him a little bit, you going to play Anthony this week? Or he said, he's so talented. I got to get him in there. But Emory Jones, he said, Emory's playing pretty dang well, and we're winning right now, so, you stick with what's working. And then we started him at Georgia game, and a couple of bad plays happened there. But anyway, yeah, if he'd maybe started against South Florida or somebody like that, it might have been a little better, but I don't know. But he is an enormous talent. Everybody agrees with that. And they were all, when he had his pro timing day, tryout day and everything, the scouts were just in awe.
Cool.
They're in awe of him. There's no question about it. So April 27th, we'll find out where he is drafted.
Yeah, it'll be.
Yeah.
I think Gator fans are rooting for him. I don't think that
Definitely.
they were very critical of him during the season, because he would make these ridiculous plays. But again, he's a young guy and has really not had much experience in high school. He didn't get. He was on bad teams, so
Yeah, time will tell. That's answer right there.
Exactly.
Did you watch the gymnastics yesterday?
I did.
I watched the whole thing, 2.5 hours.
I did too.
I even called Bobby
Saturday,
Stoops. He had Oklahoma. It was Saturday. You're right. And I said, this is one of the best athletic events, competition I think I've seen in many a year. It really was. The ladies on all the teams, I mean, they performed under pressure, especially our Victoria, I can't pronounce her last name. When she had to get on that balance beam after one of our ladies had fallen off, and if we'd had to count that, I mean, we'd been out completely, finishing number 1, they said. But she hung in there and got about a 9, 7, or 8, did very well, and really her floor exercise and everything. And she was not one of the tops during the season. She was like one of the backups. But she was outstanding, Victoria. She deserves a salute. But, I mean, OU was fantastic. We were fantastic.
They didn't miss.
They didn't miss. Every one of theirs looked like a 10.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't say that the scorekeepers were completely biased. I thought if it was very, very, very close, they might say, well, let's let somebody else win. They won 6 out of the last 9 years.
I know.
So, and we finished second the last 2 years, just like last year. Utah, I tell you, their sports program is pretty daggum good.
It is.
They went to the Rose Bowl, won the Pac-12 this year, and there's LSU again. They're in everything lately.
I know.
But
I guess Scott Woodard is doing a good job out there. Of course, he hired
certainly
Kim
has.
Mulkey, but I was happy that Florida beat LSU at least in the final.
Yeah, we're number 2. Yeah, it's better than 4. Nothing, and absolutely.
Better than 10.
Gymnastics is a sport you basically compete against yourself, and you hope it's good enough that the other team that's competing against themselves, because everybody's striving for perfection,
Right.
striving for perfection, and then you add it all up at the end. So it was, our ladies were fantastic. So was Oklahoma. So was the other two teams. Gosh,
Yeah,
they were
they were
all really, really good. And anyway, that's the way it turned out.
Well, the thing to me, Steve, and you, I mean, maybe you can answer this question better than anybody, but some athletes have the it factor that we talk about a lot, and Trinity Thomas has that. I mean, Trinity Thomas to get a 10 with an injury was incredible. I mean, I was literally like welling up. But I mean, how do you tell whether a guy has that? I mean, when do you know whether a guy has that ability in the toughest situations to play his best?
I guess when they do it. And Trinity tied the all-time record with 28 tens in her career, 28 perfect events in her career. So that was a wonderful individual accomplishment right there. And anyway, gymnastics had a great year.
She's
great
in
season.
the argument for one of the greatest athletes to ever compete here with what she's done, and yet she never won a national title because she was injured for two of them, had COVID year. Even though she got 5 years, they came just up short. I mean, I think she's one of the greatest to ever perform here in any sport.
No question about it. 28 tens over the course of her career.
It could have been 40 tens because there were like a lot of 9.975s where one judge just fell off a little bit. So you had that, and you had this place was buzzing this weekend with baseball and softball and lacrosse, and there was a big track meet over here in Gainesville. Baseball, Caglione hits 2 homers. Again, he's up to 21 and gets a win as a pitcher. That's pretty impressive stuff that he's been doing.
Yeah, baseball team is on the way. Baseball is
30 wins now.
Yeah, I think we're 9-4 in conference play.
Yeah.
So
actually, they're 11-4 now. Yeah.
Oh, is it 11-4 now since we won 2? Okay.
So they're only 2 back of Vandy for the whole overall SEC
championship. Okay. All right, Boston Marathon today.
That's
How about
right.
that?
Yep.
You know, that thing started in 1897. I was just watching a little bit of it before I drove over. And, of course, they have the wheelchair division, which is really neat to watch the men and women. Amazing athletes. All of them are strong and rolling their wheelchairs. I hope to see the finish. I'm sure we'll see the highlights.
Well, I think it's a 10-year anniversary of the bombing.
It is a 10-year, and they honored the victims and so forth. And so I tell you what, with all the mass shootings and so forth around the country now, almost every week there's one somewhere. It's just a shame we can't do something about it. We just sit back and say there's too much mental illness. We need to get rid of those weapons that kill so many people. I don't know when we're going to do it. It's sad to watch.
It is very much. All right, so we didn't. The spring game itself, I wanted to go back to that because when you had spring games, you tried to make them a little bit of fun, but you threw the ball around. Billy Napier almost felt like he wanted to make sure the defense got some confidence. Like we're only gonna run like 7 plays. You know what they are. You know, it's almost like we need the defense to have a good day, more so than the offense. Where I think a lot of fans went in there wanting to see what the quarterbacks could do.
Yeah.
How did you approach the spring game?
Well, the first year we let everybody play. We had to go to Jacksonville because we ripped the AstroTurf out and put natural grass in. But then the second year, I remember we had this PR guy, McBride.
John McBride, yeah.
And he found out that 4 of our starting D linemen, I wasn't going to play in the spring game. So he went to Jeremy and he said, this dumbass Spurrier's not going to let the starting D line play, and we're trying to sell tickets for $5. Remember they sold tickets for $5 or $10. I'm not sure what. And Jeremy said, well, if he doesn't want to play the starting 4 D linemen, he wants to watch the young guys play. There's nothing wrong with that. He said, well, we can't sell tickets unless our starters are out there. And amazingly, 2 years before that, in '89, the spring game, Emmitt Smith carried the ball, I think, about 28 to 30 times. Because they had that steak and beans. They had something on it.
Oh, they did. It was steak or beans.
Can you imagine the best back in college football running in a spring game,
No.
28 or 30
Not
times.
today, I don't
So his
know.
team could win the game 10-7 or whatever it was. I'm not sure. But no, we tried to let guys who hadn't played much go at it in the spring game, let them, play in the swamp a bit. And the fans knew, a lot of our guys who played a lot would not do a lot that game. So it just made sense to me to let the younger guys and so forth play most of it.
Okay, I do need to ask you about the golf too. I hope you got to watch that playoff. That was really, I mean, those guys just kept hitting precise iron shot after precise iron shot. It was amazing to watch them play.
Yeah, Jordan Spieth, the golf gods are not exactly smiling on him. That putt looked like it was going to die on the edge, and then it just died and didn't go in, and that was the difference between winning and losing. And then the other guy hit it stiff. But, you got to shake it off. Those golfers, only one guy can win when about, 150 start out?
Well, a lot of
About
tournaments,
150.
yeah. I think it's
and
144 for the players, yeah.
144, and they cut it down to about 70 or something like
Yeah,
that.
70.
So only one can win, but you got to have an attitude that even though you're up there in the top 5 a lot, if you can win once out of 5 when you're in the top 5, that's probably not too bad. Tiger Woods and some of those guys that win a lot, now they win more than their share when they're up there. They got that little extra something. But I don't know, if we'll have another Tiger Woods in the near future.
Well, it's like Fitzpatrick that's only his second
Yeah.
win, and he won the
He won
US
the Open. He won the Open.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun to watch. I really enjoyed. That was kind of like a great way to finish up the weekend. I don't know if you watched much NBA playoffs or NHL playoffs or anything.
There was so many of them. I just sort of
that's
watched the
what I
highlights.
thought. Yeah.
So, watch the highlights a bit.
I try to put on the
go from there.
fourth quarter, and just say,
Yeah.
let me.
Yeah.
Then I realize there's 9 minutes still left. I go, let me see if there's a movie. It's
Yeah,
just,
I'll wait till it's down to about 4 teams,
Yeah.
and then we can watch the
but that's the thing.
championships and
I don't
so
have a
forth.
rooting interest in anybody. Do you have a team?
Well, Billy Donovan,
Yeah, he's out,
his
but
guys
he
are
did
out
win.
now,
He did.
but
They did win a game. Yeah.
Yeah, they had that play-in little tournament, and they got to the last game, and I guess Miami beat them the last one.
Yeah, they had
So
a
forth.
lead too late, but couldn't hold. But a bunch of guys getting hurt, and just the way it works. But,
Yeah. Baseball and softball, I guess, are coming right now, and Mouse Holloway's outdoor track is coming right now.
Yeah, I'm
soon.
ready to see what
So-
happens. I know they have a meet this week somewhere, but then they're about to get to
Yeah.
the NCAA's, and also we never talk about lacrosse. Lacrosse got another win this weekend, and
That's right.
it's kind of an ignored sport because they're not in the SEC. There's no SEC, but they actually play Vanderbilt this week. So
Yeah, Vandy has a lacrosse team,
Yeah.
which is good.
and no gymnastics team. It seems weird to me.
Yeah, that is a little different, but Vanderbilt does have a women's
do.
bowling, which is
National champs.
yeah, they won national championship in that a while back. So it's
don't know if you
that's the way it is sometimes,
I don't know if you count the Kentucky's got a cheerleading. They count as
Yeah.
a varsity sport. So
It's sort of like when we're doing the schedule now for all these SEC teams, and they're trying to make it fair. Well, it's not going to be fair.
No, it's
Okay,
not gonna be
it's never been fair.
no.
Somebody asked, how come Alabama and Georgia never play each other except twice every 8 years or something like that? And I said, well, that's what we used to do with Alabama. They weren't a normal opponent. And for some reason, the first year I got here in 90, they were on the schedule, second game.
Yeah.
And we happened to beat them up there, and that really took us off, that game up there. Our guy said, hey, if we can beat Alabama on the road, we can beat anybody. Let's go do it. And so
You handle them at home the
well,
next year, too.
the first 7 times we played them, we won 6 of 7. And then 99, we had that game that went to overtime. And
Yeah.
we both missed an extra point, but we jumped offside when they missed theirs.
I think it was Lita that
Sometimes
jumped
stuff
offside,
happens.
right?
Sometimes stuff happens. But anyway, we didn't have them on the schedule until 98, 90, 91, and then 98. But since Commissioner Kramer started the championship games in 92, we played them in 92, 93, 94, 96. And so we played them
And
a whole bunch of
99
times.
too.
And then 99, well,
Yeah.
they beat us in. So But anyway, it's just the way we do it. It's not a round robin type deal.
No.
And your schedule is extremely important. But with more teams getting in the playoff now, it makes the regular season. You try to win your conference, but if you don't win your conference, maybe the schedule is a lot tougher. You might could get in that 12-team playoff and win it all.
I don't think there's going to be an easy schedule in the SEC when
Right.
Oklahoma and Texas come in next year because whatever your three, and again, they're going to decide this, I think, the beginning of next month. Whatever your three permanent opponents are, you're still going to you're going to pull Alabama or Texas or Oklahoma. No matter who it is, you're going to get these elite teams that are blue bloods in a way. You're going to have a tough schedule no matter what. It's not when they go to the 9-game SEC schedule. There's not going to be an easy schedule. Somehow Georgia will find one, but I don't. But it's not going to be an easy schedule. And I think the SEC's done a poor job of scheduling. The fact that Georgia's never been to Texas A&M is ridiculous, and they should be ashamed of that. But that's going to change, hopefully. Although the first year they're supposed to go was next year, and I don't know now they may not go there again.
Yeah, well, nobody said it's supposed to be fair. We all got to remember that. And we opened at Utah.
I know.
Team that won the Pac-12 last year. Whatever happened to Southwest Louisiana State or one of those, or Northern Illinois?
Well, wait a
they
minute.
used to come in opening game.
When you scheduled Southwest Louisiana, they had Jake Delhomme at quarterback and Brandon
One year
Stokely
they
was
did,
wide
didn't they?
receiver. Who was a NFL wide receiver.
Yeah.
And you still, I think you scored 3 defensive touchdowns that night against them.
Yeah, we did. And
Bobby
Stoops' first game.
Yep.
Yeah, it's Bobby's first game. We're talking about that. Did you see the game he lost this week?
I did.
Went into sudden overtime, and each team, their overtime rule is each team gets 3 shots from the 5-yard line.
Yeah.
And the other team made 1 of 3, and his guys were 0 for 3. So that's how the DC team won the game. But
Do you like that rule? Shots?
You know what? It gets it over with, but it could be a tie, and then they go 3 more, I guess. Or no, I think maybe they go sudden death after that. Each get a shot. I mean, it's good as anything probably for sudden death overtime. They don't like kicking, so that's probably as good as anything.
Well, it's funny because, and you coached in the USFL for several years, but a lot of the rules that they put into these new leagues end up getting adopted, and the red flag rule started with the USFL, where you throw the red flag out, and instant replay started in the USFL.
I do like the one rule they have in this XFL, and that the coach gets either 1 or 2 challenges. He can challenge an interference call. He can challenge, hey, they didn't call it, but this guy held him over here, and they got a guy up top that looks at the replay. So yesterday, it appeared the game was over, and Stoopsy says, hey, I'm challenging that their guy held our number 80 as he was going out for a pass, and the ball went somewhere else. So the guy up top said, hey, Bobby, challenge that thing. So he challenged it, got a first down, and they went down, kicked the field goal to send it into overtime, and had a chance to win. So I sort of like it that the coach can challenge a bad interference call or a good one or whatever, and they look at it, and they got a guy up top makes a call.
Cool.
Something different.
Anything else, Coach?
No, that's about it. Baseball is doing well. Women's softball and track's going to be kicking in.
Yep.
And what else we got going on right now?
Anything going on out here, especially?
Lacrosse, ladies lacrosse are doing well.
You guys are killing it out here. Is there anything out here?
Restaurants doing well. We ready to start entertaining recruits when they come in. I heard we had about 290 recruits, parents, friends, or whatever at the spring game. So we're making a good effort for all these top-notch kids to come see the Gators. And our NIL money, I hope, is getting bigger and bigger, so we can compete with Georgia a little bit better on that.
I think they've got it figured out on that now.
Yeah, we're getting better at figuring it out. You're right. Nobody likes it, but you have to do it to keep up.
By the way, we had Max Starks on the show Friday, and he said your recruiting pitch to him was, Max, because you watched him in a basketball game, Max, you're better off in the 3-point stance than shooting from the 3-point line. And so we were laughing our butts off that, but he's right. He was right. I mean, in the long run, and he ends up with a great NFL career.
Yeah.
Do you remember recruiting him?
Oh yeah. In fact, I think his first year was '99, and we had two number one recruiting classes. That was one of them, and then Danny Warfel's year after the our '91 season. So Danny and all those guys were redshirted in '92, and wouldn't it be something if Arch Manning gets redshirted?
I think
he
they already said Ewers is going to be the starter.
He may do it, and knowing the Mannings, he will take it and beat out the guys next year if he has to. Knowing those guys, I would guess that. Who knows?
And I think that's the thing. He knows what his plan. He knows his path.
Long range, yeah.
Because he's dealing with guys who really know what they're talking about. And apparently Peyton is his major advisor. That's a good guy to have advising.
Not Eli?
No, it's more Peyton.
Oh, okay.
But you recruited Peyton back in the old days.
Yeah, we recruited Peyton, and I remember, I think you know the story, Bob Sanders came in one day and said, Peyton's going to Tennessee, coach. And I said, you know what? That's probably the best place for him. We had Danny Warfel and Eric Crusher already here. Yeah. Those two guys were already here, but hey, we had to recruit him. He visited. He was very interested in us. But he also knew we had Danny Warfel.
Yeah.
And Danny won the state championship, All-State, and this, that, and the other. So, yeah, it worked out best, really, for both Peyton and Danny.
And for you, because you beat Peyton 4 times. So.
Well, yeah, but that
I only count 3 of them. I only count 3.
Yeah, they weren't his fault. It just stuff happened bad for Tennessee.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, we can sit around and brag about beating him, but I mean, their running backs would jump over the pile first goal and fumble.
Jay Graham,
Jay and stuff like that. We got a fumble in midair and ran it in for a touchdown up there that night game.
The Lawrence Wright hit that ended up being a huge play.
Yeah, good things happen most of the time, not all the time though, because 2 games we lost to them in overtime. Well, we didn't get to overtime in 2001, but the '98 game was one that a play here or there, we easily could have won that one. But it didn't work out, and, you move on.
Yep. All right, Coach, we'll let you go, and appreciate your time. Brought to you by Meldon Law. Coach Steve Spurrier every Monday. We'll be back with more of another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Dooley Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you access to elite speakers like coaches, NCAA football insiders, Gator greats, and more, including yours truly. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-season meetings, home game tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Trial membership until April 11th only, featuring Billy Napier and Tommy Townsend. Email the club at membership@quarterbackclub.org. That's membership@quarterbackclub.org, or call me, and I'll let you get to the right people.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Hey dads and kids, join head coach Billy Napier at the Gainesville All-Pro Dad Experience, Saturday, April 22nd at 9 a.m. at the University of Florida Sanders Practice Facility and Fields. Learn fatherhood tips and participate in activities with your kids while rotating through stations on the field. It's only $25 per family, so register today at allprodad.com/events. The Gainesville All-Pro Dad Experience is brought to you by the Florida Department of Education, Dairy Council of Florida, and Tyson.
Okay, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator studio. And I did not get to the play of the weekend, the Campus USA play of the weekend with Coach Spurrier. We usually do it with him, but instead we'll do it with our guest today, the great Robert A. Andreu. Rob, what's going on?
Hey, Pat. What's up with you?
All right, we're going to show the play of the weekend right here, brought to you by Campus USA. And this was, we had a lot to choose from. None of them from the spring game, but we had a lot to choose from baseball, softball, gymnastics, everything. But here is our play of the weekend. And here it is. And it's coming up right now. As we speak, it's going to be on here. There it is. And this is Skylar Wallace. 3 home runs on Friday against Georgia. Not a bad thing to do. There were a lot of home runs going out of this park this weekend, Robbie. Not only this park, but the park across the street. We saw, and here's the last one. Boom.
It's a launching pad over there, Pat. That's what it's becoming.
Maybe there's something in the air around those two stadiums. This was a walk-off, but it was a walk-off because they run ruled them the first night.
Yeah.
Those were our Campus USA plays of the weekend. Great game for Skylar Wallace, I think she's hitting, what did I say, 465 with 13 homers.
Not shabby at all, Pat.
She may catch Caglione with number of homers.
Yeah.
All right, how was your weekend, by the way?
Good, Pat. I got a movie recommendation for you.
Okay.
Air, have you heard of it? With Matt Damon and Ben Affleck?
Yeah, I've seen, but because if you watch a lot of games on the ESPN Plus, that commercial's on.
Yeah.
That and the Subway commercial, which I'm never going to Subway because it's driven me crazy all year.
Yeah, but this movie's really good, Pat. I think you'd enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'll have to.
Yeah, I think Matt Damon could win an Oscar for his performance.
Really, he's selling shoes.
He's
Al
really good.
Bundy. He's Al Bundy. He's selling shoes. All right, it's time for Yes, No, Where, Maybe. Robbie, of course, coming to you on the Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line. And Big Mills Cheesesteak brings you Yes, No, Where, Maybe every Monday and Friday, maybe Monday and Thursday this week. And we'll give him his 3 questions. If you want to go into Big Mills Cheesesteak, sponsors of the Bob Dooley Invitational, and have a nice cheesesteak or a sausage dog, and you get free fries with your order if you mention that you listen to the Duly Noted podcast. Number 1, Robbie, you are less excited about Gator football after watching the spring game. You were there in attendance.
Less excited now, Pat?
Yeah.
No way. I mean, we talked all last week or the weeks leading up to it that don't put too much into a spring game. So, no, I'm not going to put too much into it. And I know that the offense didn't look great and the quarterbacks had their moments where they didn't look very good. But it's a spring game, Pat. It is meaningless. There's no reason for that to temper anybody's enthusiasm about the upcoming year. So I would just let it go, baby.
Or you could just say, hey, the defense is going to be good this year, finally.
Yeah, you could do that. You just don't take anything really seriously away from a spring game. I just got to learn to live with that.
I was trying to think of a memorable spring game, and you covered the 90 game, right?
Yeah, that was exciting because Spurrier opened it up and they threw the ball.
I can't think of another one that I remember.
Yeah, and that was in the Gator Bowl, remember?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. You are excited, though, about Florida basketball having size now. They've got 5 new guys that are at least 6'9", somewhere between 6'8" and 7'1". And that has been the knock on Florida basketball, literally going back to Billy, that they didn't have a lot of big guys. They only had a big guy and then nobody to back them up. Certainly last year that was a huge problem. It's one reason they didn't make the tournament. So you're excited that they've got a bunch of big guys now.
I would say definitely yes, Pat. I mean, he's really done great in the portal, but, a year ago at this time, he'd done great in the portal too, we thought, and it didn't work out that way. But, I think they're filling real needs here, and I think he's getting comfortable recruiting guys here. So, I'm pretty excited about it. I mean, they weren't that far off this year. You get a couple of guys that can protect the rim and rebound and play defense. I think you're going to see a much different Florida team this year. But, with the portal, you never know.
Yeah, I mean, Alex Fudge left, but no big deal. They got a lot of good players, hopefully. I think the other thing is, Robbie, you know this, a coach in his first year is still trying to figure out how to get to the office, And, but I think
so much different the second year.
You understand the league a little better. You understand your culture a little better. You've changed your culture. I think it's going to be interesting to see what they are able to do with, and this is just the way it is.
Yeah, but Pat, I think Golden and Napier have done a really good job here in their second go at recruiting. I think that both of them are doing a great job, and it's setting up real good for football right now. And I know there's a long way to go, but definitely setting up that way.
Yeah, I try not to get too excited about commitments because they're not even really commitments. I may go here. I may start here, is what they should say. I'm going to start my career at the University of Florida. I'm going to start my career at the University of Alabama. My next year, who knows where I'll be?
Who knows?
Yeah. All right.
Whoever's going to give me more money.
Finally, Robbie, on Yes, No Way, or Maybe, Phantom of the Opera closed this weekend. Did you ever see it? Yes, No Way, or Maybe?
Did I ever see Phantom of the Opera? The musical?
Yes.
No, I have no way. I've never seen it. I've heard the track of it. I've heard all the music from it. The music's unbelievable. It's outstanding.
I couldn't name one song. Give me one song.
I can't name the songs now, but it's been a while.
So you can't
Music of the Night. How's that? Here's one of them, Pat. Music of the Night.
All right. Music of the night, exchanging glances.
No, not that.
Well, I never saw it either, so we can't see it again. We're out. We're done. Unless, like maybe the Hippodrome puts it on, as a special edition. I never understood the lure of Phantom of the Night, but. Hey, it is what it is. Some people love that stuff.
Oh, yeah. No question, Pat.
All right, Robbie, you're off the hook. Yes, no, where, maybe.
Okay, Pat. Hey, Pat, you need me for radio this week?
I did. Wednesday. You're good for Wednesday?
What?
Wednesday?
Yeah, I could probably do Wednesday.
Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. We'll see you Wednesday.
Okay, I'll see you, Pat. Have a good one.
All right. That is Robbie Andreu on Yes, Nowhere, maybe brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak. I got an itch back here. Golly. Can you edit that out? There's some kind of itch on my back. All right. Let's move along. Let's go to our Adams Ribco to Go Gator of the weekend. And I thought about this a long time. There's a lot of people I had a choice of making. I could have gone with Skylar Wallace. I could have gone with Caglione, who not only hit the 2 homers Sunday, but pitched well, and that was a huge boost for Florida because obviously he hadn't been pitching well. But you know what I'm going with? I'm going with the entire gymnastics team. That team took me through so many, almost all highs. I mean, there weren't any lows. I mean, even when they lost to LSU in Oklahoma, it wasn't like a low. But just the emotions of it, and then watching it on Saturday, and not only Trinity Thomas, but what all the other athletes were able to do and to keep them in it and have a chance. They finished second in the country. And to me, what is the most difficult sport in the world? And it is. I'm sorry. I'm not saying you've got to be the most talented person to be good at it. But you've got to – it's hard. It's the hardest sport. I mean, there's no other way for me to put it. When you're doing backflips to a 4-inch beam, and if you wobble, it could cost you a meet. When you're doing these incredible things on the floor, when you're having to grab bars, frozen ropes, to me, it's the hardest sport. And for them to do what they did, salute. That's what they used to do on Hee-Haw. Salute. Hee-Haw was way before your time, Jared. But so UF Gymnastics are Adams Ribco to go, Gators of the weekend. We appreciate them, and their season's over, and I'm going to miss seeing Trinity out there. That's for sure. And some of the other gymnasts as well. But they'll be good again next year, and we know that. I was texting with Jenny Rowland after the meet, and I was sad and happy at the same time. Anyway, all right. Our Leonardo's at Millhopper quick picks. And again, we're going to pull a winner on Thursday. Don't forget, we are having a Thursday show. We thought we had a guest, but it didn't work out, so we're going to get another guest. But Thursday show, and we have gotten a little bit of response to whether people want a Thursday show instead of a Friday show, especially as we get to football season. I don't think any of you care during the summer, but during football season, I think a lot of you have felt like, hey, I didn't have time to listen to it before the game. So we're leaning towards doing that Thursday show. We'll make a decision on that. But we definitely are doing one this week, and we'll pull a winner for Leonardo's and Millhopper Quick Picks. You'll get $25 gift certificate at Leonardo's, and I'll throw something else really cool in there. Maybe a hat from the Bob Dooley Invitational. They're nice hats, man. I love them. They're sweet. Anyway, our pick for this week, and a lot of you did qualify last weekend because you guessed 4. Florida won 2 against Georgia in softball, 2 in baseball. So you guessed 4, and that was the correct answer. Pretty easy one this week. Does Cags hit a homer against FAMU? That's a Tuesday night game. So you got time to get in. Does he hit a homer? Very simple, yes or no. If you say yes and he hits one, you qualify. And then on Thursday, we're going to pick a winner from Leonardo's. Great to be with Kyle and his wife at the Stop Children's Cancer Gala. We had a good time sitting there talking, making fun of the band. That's what we do. It's the way we are. All right, let us get to our Hesser and Kipke. 3 things. And again, Hesser and Kipke sponsoring the starting lineup today because I said they could. We're still looking for a sponsor for that, though, an overall sponsor, and we'll get to work on it. It's kind of hard when you're trying to run a golf tournament, run a podcast, do your other stuff. I thought I was retired. I'm going to try to retire better. Hesser and Kipke, 3 things, of course, is brought to you by Hesser and Kipke, a Gainesville law firm specializing in the area of workers' compensation and family law. Ken and Jennifer take great pride in their one-to-one focus on each and every client they represent. Ken is board certified in workers' compensation law by the Florida Bar, and Jennifer possesses extensive jury trial experience with a nearly 20-year background as a prosecutor. If you don't believe me, check out their 55 5-star reviews, Google reviews, or better yet, give them a call at 352-339-9920, the great folks at Hesser and Kipke. Number 1, NBA playoffs. I watch a lot of them. Every team I rooted for lost, except one. I'm basically just negative rooting. I don't have a team, so I'm basically negative rooting. And most things didn't work out. But it was weird to see all the injuries. Giannis with his back was out for most of the game. They lost. Morant goes out with a hand. I was watching the game when it happened. It came down weird on his right hand. I don't know how long he's going to be out. Tyler Hero broke his hand. And it was weird because he broke his hand, and then he's standing over there holding his hand. They fling him the ball. He takes it, shoots, makes a three, and then starts holding his hand again. I'm like, well, it can't be hurt that bad, but it is. I guess he's not going to play the next game. Weird how these injuries all crept up. But the NBA playoffs, look, if you watch the last 5 minutes, that's all you really need to see. That's when it all takes place. Everything else is just a prelude. It's just like, all right, one team's going to get way ahead, and the other team's going to come back. You know that's going to happen. The other team's going to come up. I just like watching the last 5 minutes, and I watch a lot of last 5 minutes on this weekend. Number 2, this is an example of what the transfer portal is, because a guy jumped in the portal today, and I don't know. I think his name is Caleb Etienne. I don't know if he's related to any of the other ETNs. I don't know the answer to that, and I probably should, but I don't know. I would think Florida would be very interested in getting him to come in, but I don't know if they will. But he was at Oklahoma State, starter for them. Oklahoma State now has lost 16 players to the portal. This is the world we live in. They've signed 13 players from the portal. So, again, this goes back to the Seinfeld thing I quote all the time. You're all just rooting for laundry. Don't worry about the players. Don't fall in love with the players. Not in football and not in basketball. Now, in the other sports, you kind of do. You build programs. You kind of add in with the portal. But in football and basketball, it's almost like you build on the portal. But it's the way it is. The NCAA could have solved this problem a long time ago. Both the portal, both NIL, they could have solved these problems. They didn't do it. It's their fault. I blame them. This is why we're in this wild, wild west. It's not pleasant for a lot of people, and especially for coaches who now have this new rule where guy can visit as many times he wants. So you're gonna be on call 365 if you're a college football coach. Just the way it is. But that, to me, Oklahoma State, losing 16 guys to the portal. Pretty good team, too. Anyway, and finally, number 3 on the Hesser and Kipke 3 things, there is a new Eige mascot. They put the collar on him at the Georgia spring game. Big deal for them, not for me. But I did want to bring it up because Eige 10, who was the last Eige, went 91-18. That's what they list. They say his record is 91-18 with 2 national championships. You know what I would say? That dog has no idea he won 91 games or 2 national titles. All he knows is they fed him, they watered him, they kept him dry. He doesn't care about whether you want it or not. Please do not quote the mascot's record. Sorry. That is just what you guys were doing while he happened to be the mascot. Just want to get on Georgia a little bit there. All right, that is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Let's get to our Eige Realty, Odell Realty games of the week. And I want to get to make sure I get the Eige house of the weekend. We talked about that on that was Friday, right? I'm going to try to find it here again, and I will eventually. But let's get to the games of the weekend. Certainly, I do want to talk a little bit about the the NBA games because, but I mean, you guys know there are NBA games on every night now. That's the way it is. Okay. There are going to be games on every night, so I don't need to give you the times on that. You know where to look for them: TNT and CBS or ABC and ESPN. But I did want to bring up the NHL playoffs. They start tonight, and I'll give you the 2 Florida teams: Florida at Boston, That's probably not going to go well. Didn't the Bruins have like the best record in the history of sports this year? So I don't like your chances there if you're a Bruins fan. I mean, if you're a Florida Panthers fan. But they play at 7:30 on ESPN. And then Tuesday, the Bolts, Tampa Bay Lightning, playing at Toronto at 7:30 on ESPN again. So that is those are the NHL games. And there's a ton of there's 4 games a night and everything. You guys don't want to hear me list all those games, but those are the 2 games. Baseball Tuesday plays against Florida A&M. It's kind of interesting because when we were looking, there's a great graphic they show where the Gator eyes, and I told Karen, I go, that looks like Florida A&M colors because it's orange and green. So don't show that when Florida A&M's in town because they'll probably think, hey, it's like a home game for us. So that game is at 6 o'clock on Tuesday. It is on the Plus. The Plus and I are not getting along, by the way. I'll just let you know that. I'm having problems with them. They when I put a game on the Plus on the big TV, it tends to say, no, we're having trouble showing this. We can't show this. I'm sorry, we can't show this. And then, like, I guess got to stay with it, and then eventually it shows up, and I'll go, oh, finally the game is on. That happened the other night, but I end up being able to watch the games, and then Florida also plays a Thursday game, South Carolina. That's why Robbie's doing the show Wednesday because Jeff has to go radio show, but Thursday at 7:30 on the U. They play, so that'll be good. You get 251 if you get the same cable I have, Cox Cable, and then obviously the NBA games are going on all week. Just enjoy them. I'm trying to find my Ben Eige House of the Week, and I'm struggling with it a little bit here, mainly because I'm an idiot, which I think we've all established. All right, I'll get the house. I'll double up on the House of the Week Monday. How about that? Or Thursday. My wife once said to me, "You should only have a cell phone for emergencies because otherwise you can't operate it." You should have seen me trying to get tickets that Joe Calorio sent me from Titan MRI for the baseball game. I'm trying to figure it out, and she's like, "Fine, give me your phone." Boom, boom, boom. Here, scans. Boom, we're in the game. If she wasn't there, I would just turn around and walked home. I'm just not good at it. All right, finally, let's get to our Pat Dooley story time, brought to you by the great folks at Eastlake Pediatrics, and of course, another sponsor of the Bob Dooley Invitational. We appreciate them so much, and especially for sponsoring this. And I was laying in bed last night. I had a little bit of stomach flu last night, and so I was having a hard time going to sleep, and I thought about this story, so I'm going to tell it. It's again, calling me out for being an idiot. When I first came to the University of Florida, it was 1974, and I went to the Alligator, and I said, hey, I'm in journalism, I want to write. I think I can do it. They said, well, okay, well, just come up with a story, write a story, and submit it to us. So I decided I'm going to do a story. Andy Summers, I actually got to know his son very well too, Tyson. So Andy Summers, in 1972 game at Florida Field against LSU, Nat Moore ran it 72 yards down to the 1-yard line. He came out of the game because he was tired. They put Andy Summers in. He kind of tried to go over the top, got hit, fumbled, and it ended up being a 3-3 tie, and it was just devastating for him, I know. 2 years later against LSU, he recovers like 2 fumbles on special teams. So I say, this is a good story. I'll go write this story. So I go interview him and everything. I write the story, and my lead, it's just so sad. First story I ever wrote, my lead was, "What a difference 2 years makes!" Exclamation point. So first of all, I took a cliche and bastardized it and made it worse because it's just stupid. And I get a call from the Alligator, and they say, we're good. We're good on stories. We don't need any more, especially from you. Looking back on it, they were dead right. That was just a terrible. I couldn't even tell you what the second graph was, but I remember the lead forever. What a difference 2 years makes. That's just terrible. Terrible writing. Anyway, I ended up going to work for a bunch of people and freelancing, and got better as a writer, but not right away. It took a while. But you know where I really cut my teeth was on covering American Legion baseball. They were played at McKeithen Stadium. The great Chuck Dale, who's passed away, and I love that guy. All these guys that play, I got to know them really well, Bob Adamson and those guys. And that's where I cut my teeth. That's where I think I became an acceptable writer. I didn't use cliches anymore. Not all the time. Sometimes I would. I remember what I wrote for the Gainesville Sun. It said, my lead was, the Beatles sang it best. When the rain came, they run and hide their heads. Well, at the Florida Relays, they were running from and in for a while. I remember that lead for some reason. It's terrible. But it's better than what a difference 2 years makes. That's our Pat Dooley story time for today. Appreciate Jared so much. What a great job he does putting this together. Again, Thursday night we will post our shows, so you have plenty of time for the weekend. And we look forward to doing a Thursday show, and then we'll see about the following Thursday. We may have Greg Stanky on the following Thursday. Greg Stanky, did I say? Greg Sankey. Greg Stanky was my boss at the Times Union in Jacksonville. And one day he came to me and said, we're going to let Gene Fournette have the column. Let me tell that story one day. All right, that's going to do it, though, for today's show. We appreciate all of our listeners and watchers, and certainly appreciate Coach Spurrier, appreciate Robbie Andreu. We'll have a guest Thursday. Not sure who it's going to be, because I thought I was going to get Greg Sankey this Thursday, but we'll get somebody just as good. We've had unbelievable guests lately, and they've been a lot of fun, a lot of great content. Until next time, I'm Pat Dooley. I am deep, I'm way back, and I am out of here.